Chapter 3, Mishnah 4. The previous Mishnah taught the law for an earthenware utensil that developed a hole but was otherwise intact. This Mishnah teaches a similar law for a utensil that is completed but is cracked and in danger of falling apart. If an earthenware barrel developed cracks and became weak, but it is still in one piece, and before it fell apart, he coated the outside of the barrel with dung in order to hold it together. And even though the barrel is now so damaged that if he were to remove the dung, the pieces would fall apart immediately, it is considered a complete utensil and is able to become tame, because it never lost its status as a utensil before it was coated. Although the barrel had become tahor due to its weakness before it was coated, since its body was still intact, it was still considered a barrel. Therefore, once the coating strengthens so that it can again support a load, it is now considered a complete barrel and can become tame. The Mishnah contrasts this ruling with the law for a barrel that broke and was then put back together and coated with dung. If the barrel broke apart and he glued its pieces back together, or if he brought pieces from some other place and glued them into the shape of a barrel, and he then coated them with dung to make the barrel hold together more strongly, then even though the barrel was glued together so strongly that if he were to remove the dung pieces, even if that if let's say it again. Then, even though the barrel was glued together so strongly that if he were to remove the dung, the pieces would still hold together, the barrel is tahor because it lost its status as a utensil when it broke apart. Neither glue nor coatings of dung can restore broken pieces to the status of a utensil. In the case just discussed, the barrel broke into pieces that were all too small to be capable of becoming tame on their own. The Mishnah now distinguishes a case where one of the broken pieces was big enough to become tame on its own. If the barrel that was glued back together had in it a piece that could hold a revis of liquid by itself, in which case that piece was able to become tame and transmit tuma to foods and liquids that touch it even before the barrel was repaired. If that piece becomes tame, the entire repaired barrel transmits tuma to foods and liquids through direct contact, even the small pieces that were reattached, but only the space opposite the larger piece, i.e. the space within the walls of the piece that holds a revius, transmits tuma through airspace. Since the larger piece was still considered an earthenware kli and was able to become tame and transmit tuma through its airspace even before the barrel was repaired, it continues to be able to do so after the other parts of the barrel have been glued back onto it. However, the smaller pieces that were glued back are not considered an earthenware kli, as we learned in the previous case of the Mishnah. Therefore, they cannot transmit tuma through their airspace. Nevertheless, they are considered a yad, handle, to the larger piece, to which they have now been reattached. The handles of earthenware utensils also transmit tuma, but only through direct contact, not through airspace.